God commanded Abraham to take Isaac, his only son, whom he loved deeply, to the region of Moriah, and offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that God would show him. This command was staggering, testing Abraham's faith at the highest level. Isaac was not just any son, he was the child of promise, the fulfillment of God's covenant to make Abraham's descendants as numerous as the stars. Despite the shock and anguish, such a command must have stirred within him. Abraham obeyed without hesitation. His faith in God's goodness and sovereignty overpowered any doubts or fears he might have had. Early the next morning, Abraham rose, prepared the necessary supplies, and set out on the journey with Isaac and 2 servants. The trip to Moriah took 3 days, during which Abraham must have wrestled silently with the implications of what he was about to do. Yet, his determination to obey God remained steadfast. When they finally reached the vicinity of the mountain, Abraham told the servants, "Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." This statement was not just practical. It was a declaration of faith. Abraham believed that even if he sacrificed Isaac, God was able to raise him from the dead, a belief echoed in the New Testament. Isaac, who was old enough to understand the sacrificial customs, carried the wood for the offering as they made their ascent. Noticing the absence of a lamb, he asked, "My father, where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham's response, "God will provide for himself the lamb," reflected a profound faith. He trusted that God would either intervene or fulfill his promise in a way Abraham could not foresee. When they reached the summit, Abraham built an altar, arranged the wood, and bound Isaac, placing him on top of the wood. This act of binding his beloved son demonstrates the depth of Abraham's obedience and Isaac's trust, for there is no indication that Isaac resisted. As Abraham raised the knife to slay his son, the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham! Abraham!" The urgency of the call underscored the importance of the moment. Abraham immediately paused, and the angel said, "Do not lay a hand on the boy, or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." At that moment, Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. God had indeed provided a substitute. Abraham offered the ram as a burnt offering instead of Isaac, and named that place Jehovah-Jireh, meaning, "The Lord will provide." This powerful event not only tested Abraham's faith, but also served as a profound symbol of God's ultimate provision. This story points forward to the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on Calvary. Just as God spared Isaac and provided a substitute, God did not spare his own son, but gave him up for humanity's sins. Jesus, the Lamb of God, bore the sins of his people, fulfilling the promise that through Abraham's offspring all nations would be blessed. The parallel between Isaac carrying the wood for his own sacrifice and Jesus carrying his cross is striking, emphasizing that God's plan for redemption has always included a provision for salvation. This foreshadowing highlights the depth of God's love and his unwavering commitment to fulfill his promises, showing that faith and obedience yield divine provision and eternal hope. Applications. Abraham's willingness to obey God, even when asked to make the ultimate sacrifice, challenges us to examine the depth of our trust in God. We are called to place our faith in God's wisdom and goodness, even when His commands or plans are difficult to understand. This teaches us to trust God fully with the most valuable aspects of our lives, knowing He has a greater purpose. Abraham rose early the next morning to carry out God's command, showing immediate obedience. This is a powerful reminder that true faith leads to prompt action. When we sense God's leading, we should act without hesitation, trusting that His timing and instructions are perfect. Abraham's declaration that God will provide resonates with believers today. In moments of uncertainty or trial, we can find comfort in the assurance that God is Jehovah Jireh, the one who provides. Whether it's a physical, emotional, or spiritual need, God's provision may come in unexpected ways, but it is always sufficient. Abraham and Sarah's lives were marked by faith, even when they did not see all of God's promises fulfilled in their lifetimes. This application teaches us to live with an eternal perspective, understanding that our faith journey contributes to God's greater plan. Our actions, decisions, and trust in God can have lasting generational impacts beyond what we may witness. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac teaches us about surrendering our deepest desires and most cherished possessions to God. This act of surrender is a form of worship and a testament to our belief that God is in control and His plans are better than ours. It prompts us to evaluate what we might be holding on to too tightly and encourages us to place those things in God's hands.